Hello and welcome to session 48, Direct Tax 2, 4th semester BCom of Mangalore University. Now we are in the last session of this particular subject, and in this particular session we are going to look into a comprehensive problem on income from other sources. So let's look at this particular problem. Mr. Vinod has the following investments and incomes in the previous year 1920. Rupees 9,000 10% tax-free Maharashtra government bonds, rupees 15,000 15% tax-free debentures of Jute Company that is purchased on 1st of November 2019, rupees 30,000 12% National Rural Development Bond sold on 1st of December 2019, 12,008% 10-year national plan certificates. Rupees 17,000 is in post office savings bank account on which 600 was credited as interest during the year. Rupees 3,200 received by account pay check as interest on securities of a public limited company which is listed. Rupees 20,000 20% securities issued by UK government. Then we are given with winnings from lotteries 30,000, from card games and betting 18,000, and from race course we have 10,000, and in brackets is given all these numbers are gross amount. Then we received rupees 6,000 interest on UP government bonds and rupees 3,000 interest on NSE 8th issue. Received rupees 18,000 interest on a FD in SBI. 5,000 interest on deposits under the notified national deposit scheme, and rupees 3,000 interest on tax-free debentures of Agra Sugar Works Limited, which is a listed company. Dividend from a tea company in Assam, that is rupees 4,000 and is given gross. 60% of the income is agriculture income. We will talk about that. Income from subletting of the house, rupees 18,000. Half portion of the house is sublet. The rent of the house is rupees 1,000 per month, and he also pays half of the municipal taxes of the house, which amounts to rupees 3,000 per annum for the entire building. He spent rupees 400 for collecting the rent of the house sublet. So he spent 400 rupees for collection of rent. He received 2,500 per lecture from Cricket Academy. He delivered 10 lectures on cricket during the year 1920. Income from dairy farming is 65,000. Expenses incurred is 12,000. He is a cricketer and played following matches during the year: 3 test matches in India against South Africa and received rupees 20,000 per match as remuneration. 2 test matches outside India and received rupees 25,000 per match as remuneration. 3 one-day matches in India and received rupees 50,000 per match. 2 one-day matches outside India and received rupees 1,50,000. During the year, rupees 50,000 cash was found in the previous year in his bank locker, the source of which could not be explained by him. So this is taken as unexplained, amount, or you can say unexplained cash credit. On 1st of November 2019, he took a loan of rupees 30,000 to purchase the debentures of Jute Company at 15% per annum from a nationalized bank. This amount was used by him for purchasing a motor car for his personal use. So though he has taken loan for the purchase of debentures of Jute Company Limited, he is purchasing a motor car for personal use. So no deduction is available under section 57. He spent rupees 3,000 for purchase of lottery tickets on card games and races. He paid 2% of net interest as bank commission for collecting interest on all securities. So interest on all securities is payable on 30th September and 31st March each year. So interest on all securities is given half yearly, that is by twice in a year. Compute his income from other sources. So let's draw the format. I record over here solution. I write computation of taxable income from other sources. Computation of taxable income from other sources. Taxable income from other sources. So I will draw 2 amount columns. One amount column to record the income and if there is a related expenses, such expenses can be deducted from the concerned income. That is in the inner column. Inner column. Okay. So let's look at the first one. Mr. Vinod has the following investments and incomes in the previous year 1920 and it's given 9,010% tax-free Maharashtra government bonds. So I record over here interest on tax-free government bonds. Interest on tax-free government bonds. Since the interest amount is given, we need to gross that amount. So 9,000 and interest rate is always 10%. So we take 100 by 90. So 9,000 into 100 by 90. So the gross amount of interest would be 10,000. Would be 10,000. Next we have 15,000 15% less tax debentures of Jute Company Limited purchased on 1st of November 2019 and it's given at the end that interest on all securities is payable on 30th September and 31st March each year. So since this bonds or debentures are purchased on 1st of November 19, there is no interest received on 30th of September. So interest is received only on 31st of March. So interest will be received only for half the year. So interest on less tax debentures of Jute Company. So I record over here 15,000 is the investment amount. Rate of interest given is 15% and we take half the year because interest is received only on 31st of March. So 15,000 into 15% would give you 2250 and half of 2,250 will be 1,125. 1,125. The next item that we take is or given rupees 30,000 12% National Rural Development Bond sold on 1st of December 19. It is sold on 1st of December 19, meaning to say on 30th of September interest is received on this. So interest will be received for half the year. So I record interest on National Rural Development Bonds. National Rural Development Bonds. This is sold on 1st of December, but interest will be received for half the year and it will be received in the month of September. So investment amount is 30,000. Rate of interest is 12% for half the year. So 30,000 into 12% is 3,600. Half of that is 1,800. 36, half of that is 1,800. Next we have interest on 10-year plan certificates. Interest on 10-year national plan certificates. Now point to note, national plan certificates comes under the list of exempt incomes under section 10 subsection 15. So this is exempt from tax. Exempt from tax. Next we have interest on post office savings bank account. Interest on post office savings bank account. Investment is 17,500 and interest received is 600. Interest received is 600. Less we have exemption. We actually have exemption limit on individual account up to 3,500. But since the interest amount is only 600, 600 will be deducted and nothing will be taxable. So understand, as far as post office savings bank account, there is an exemption up to 3,500 for an individual account and 7,000 rupees for joint account. But since the interest amount is only 600 rupees, entire amount will be exempt. So nothing is taxable. Next, interest on securities. Interest on securities of a public limited company. Interest on securities of a public limited company. Now, important point given in this problem is received by account pay check is given. So I record over here, that's very important. Received by account pay check. when the company is making the payment through account pay check. That's one. Second, since the public company is listed, we can consider that there is a TDS at 10%, but since the amount of interest is less than 5,000 rupees, no TDS will be deducted. So since the amount paid is less than 5,000 rupees, there is no TDS at all, and also the amount is received through an account pay check. Next we have 20,000 20% securities issued by UK government. So interest on securities of UK government. Interest on securities of UK government. The amount of investment is 20,000 and the rate of interest is 20%. So 20% of 20,000 would work out to 4,000 rupees. 4,000 rupees. Next we have winnings from lotteries. Winnings from lotteries. Let's look at the statement in total. Winnings from lotteries is given as 30,000, card games and bettings is given 18,000, and race course is given 10,000, and in bracket it's given gross. So we assume all the numbers those are given over here are all gross amounts. So I can record 30,000 in the inner column. Winnings from card games and betting. Card games and betting. The gross amount is 18,000. And winnings from horse races. That is also given. That is a race course. So it's race horses itself. Amount is 10,000. And all these numbers given over here are gross amount. These are given as gross amount. So since these amounts given are gross amount, grossing is not required. If net amount would have been given, we would have grossed it by adding that 30% TDS rate. So since gross amount is given, we take the full values. Then he received 6,000 interest on UP government bonds. Interest on UP government bonds. Now since the interest amount is given, grossing up becomes compulsory. So 6,000 into 100 divided by 90. 6,000 into 100 divided by 90. So 9 6 are 54, 9 6 are 54, 9 6 are 54. So you get, okay, we can total this. This would be 30, 40, 50, 58,000. And this would be 6,667. 6,667 will be the gross amount of interest on UP government bonds. Then we have interest on NSC, National Savings Certificate, 8th issue. This amount is fully taxable, but it is deductible under section 80C. And the amount of interest is 3,000. So I record 3,000 in the amount column. Then you have received 18,000 interest on an FD in SBI. Interest on fixed deposit at SBI. So it's given very clearly, amount of interest received is 18,000. So I record 18,000. Then 5,000 interest on deposits with the notified national deposit scheme. So interest on deposits of notified national deposit scheme. Of notified national deposit scheme. Interest received is 5,000. So no TDS there. Then we have 3,600 interest on tax-free debentures of Agra Limited. So interest on tax-free debentures of Agra Limited. Now it's given 3,600 rupees. Interest is given. So we need to gross that number. 100 divided by 90. So the gross amount of interest would be 4,000. So 4,000 would be the interest on tax-free debentures. That is of Agra Sugar Works Limited. Then we are given with dividend from a tea company in Assam. Dividend from tea company. Very important point to note. It's an Indian company. Dividend received from a tea company is exempt from tax. As far as 60% of the income of the company is agriculture income which is given, that will be considered as for profit. 60% is agriculture income, 40% would be business income, and that will be taken under the head business income. Next we have income from subletting of the house. So I'll just record it here. I will draw the format. So once again, two amount columns we can have. Okay, let's record the numbers. Now what is given? Income from subletting of the house. So tenant is subletting. Income from subletting of house property. Tenant is not the owner of the property. Since the tenant is not the owner of the property, the income from subletting is shown under other sources. So what is given? Income from subletting of the house is rupees 18,000. So I record 18,000 in the inner column. Then I record less. What all points are to be deducted can be taken. Half of the portion of the house is sublet. So income from subletting is 18,000, half of the portion is sublet. The rent of the house is 1,000 per month. And since half of the portion is let, he has to pay rent to the owner of the property. So I will record 50% of rent sublet paid to the owner. Paid to the owner. So I record over here 1,000 is the rent per month. I take 50% for 12 months. Since this is for 1 month, so 1,000 into 50% would be 500, and 500 per month into 12, I will record the number here, it is 6,000 rupees. So it would be 6,000 rupees. Then we are given with, he also pays half of the municipal taxes of the house, which amounts to 3,000 per annum. So municipal taxes paid, 3,000 for the house is given. So 3,000 into 50%. That also can be claimed as deduction. That would be 1,500. 3,000 is for entire building. So half of the municipal taxes which he pays is half the amount of 3,000. Then 400 for collecting the rent of the house sublet. Expenses on collection of rent. Expenses on collection of rent. And it's given that it is 400. 400. So total amount deductible will be 7,900. So 18,000 minus 7,900 would give us 10,100. So 10,100 would be the net income from subletting of house property. So 50% of the rent sublet paid to the owner. So he is paying whichever portion he has sublet to another tenant, he has to pay to the owner this rent on such property. So 1,000 is the rent per month for the entire house. 50% of that would be 500, and for 12 months it is 6,000 rupees. Then we have municipal tax paid is 3,000 for the entire building. He is paying half of that, so 1,500 can be claimed deduction, and he is paying 400 for collecting the rent, so that also can be claimed as deduction. Then he received 2,500 per lecture from Cricket Academy. He delivered 10 lectures on cricket during the year 1920. So income from delivering of lectures. Income from delivering of lectures. So 2,500 rupees he earns per lecture, and he has given 10 lectures during the year. So that would work out to 25,000. So 25,000 would be the amount of the income from lecture. Income from dairy farming is given, so that is also shown under other sources. So income from dairy farming and related expenses is also given, so we can claim a deduction for such expenses. So it is 65,000 given, I record in the inner column, less expenses on earning such income. So expenses would be 12,000, So taxable income from dairy farming would be 53,000. Would be 53,000. So 53,000 would be the income from dairy farming. Next, he is a cricketer and played following matches during the year. 3 test matches in India against South Africa and received 20,000 per match as remuneration. Points are simple. For any test matches that the cricketer plays in India, 75% of the income received is exempt from tax. Any other matches in India is totally exempt from tax. And any matches, whether test, whether one day or T20 matches played outside India, 50% of the amount received is exempt. So let's take one by one. So income from test matches in India. Income from test matches in India. So from per test match he is receiving rupees 20,000. 20,000 per match. He has played 3 matches. He has played 3 matches. So that would be 60,000 rupees. 60,000. Then exempt portion is 75%. So we take 60,000, whatever is the income, into 75%. So that would work out to 45,000. So only 15,000 would be taxable. Next given is 2 test matches outside India. Income from test matches outside India. Test matches outside India. Income from test matches outside India. Now as far as the rule is concerned, 50% of the amount will be exempt. So 2 test matches he has played. So that would work out to 25,000 into 2. So this would be 50,000 less exempt. Exempt portion is 50%. So 50,000 into 50% would work out to 25,000. So 25,000 would be taxable, the difference of the amount. Next, we have 3 one-day matches in India and received 50,000 per match. So income from one-day matches in India. Income from one-day matches in India. Income from one-day matches in India, and he is earning 50,000 per match. So 50,000 into 3, 1,50,000. Test matches income taxable at 25%, 75% is exempt. Other matches, take one-day matches or take T20 matches, is totally exempt from tax. So less exempt at 100%. So 100% of 1,50,000 would be 1,50,000 itself, and nothing would be taxable. Next we have 2 one-day matches outside India. Income from one-day matches outside India. How much is the amount? 2 one-day matches outside India. 2 one-day matches outside India is given and received rupees 1,50,000. Per match is not given. So we can assume that 2 one-day matches outside India and received rupees 1,50,000. So that number 1,50,000 itself can be taken as income from both the matches, since per match is not given as given in the earlier transaction. So 1,50,000, and we have exemption. So exempt is 50% for any matches played outside India. So 1,50,000 into 50%. So that would be 75,000, and 75,000 balance of the amount would be taxable. So this is same. Test matches outside India. This is also outside India. So 50% is exempt. So you have taken 50% of this. So 75,000. So here we are assuming that this 1,50,000 is for both the one-day matches, not just one. Yes. Then during the year 50,000 cash was found in the previous year in his bank locker, the source of which could not be explained by him. So we have unexplained money. Unexplained money found in his locker, no satisfactory response from that, and the unexplained money that is received is 50,000. It is 50,000. Next we have on 1st November 2019, he took a loan of rupees 30,000 to purchase the debentures of Jute Company at 15% per annum from a nationalized bank. So, he had taken a loan to purchase the debentures of Jute Company Limited. This amount was used by him for purchasing a motor car for his personal use. He had borrowed a loan for the sake of investments, but now instead of investing, he has purchased a motor car. So, under section 57, though income from Jute Company, interest on securities of Jute Company Limited is taxable, as given somewhere, here we have no interest on loan is deductible because he has not invested it, rather he has purchased a motor car for personal use. So that is not deductible. Then he spent 3,000 for purchase of lottery tickets on card games and on betting. So on lottery ticket, card games and betting, expenses are incurred. Any expenses incurred on earning casual incomes are not deductible at all. Then it's given he paid 2% of net interest as bank commission for collecting interest on all the securities. 2% of net interest. So first we will have to total this. There is no other income. So I will just total the income. 5 plus 7 is 12. Okay. So I take 2, 1, 3, 6 is 9. 9. Then we have 1, 2, 10, 12, 16. Okay, we have 16. Then we have 1, 6, 9, 10, 14. 14, 5 is 19, 20, 24, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 33. 33 plus 8 is 41, 47, 50, 58, 59, 60, 63. 63 plus 4 is 67. So 7 and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 15, 16, 17, 24 plus 5 is 29, 30, 35 and 36. So 36. So it will be 3,67,692. That will be the income. Then we take less deduction under section 57. Deduction under section 57. Now it's given he paid 2% of net interest as bank commission for collecting interest on all securities. So 2%, we need to take net interest for our calculation. So interest payable, that is bank commission. So I'll record over here bank commission, and this would be 2% of net interest, not gross interest. 2% of net interest as bank commission for collecting all interest on all securities. So I need to add up these numbers. So I will just make a note here. Let's say I will just make a note here, then I'll erase it. 9,000, this is net amount. Then we have 1,125, that is taxable. Then we have interest, this is also 1,800 national rural bonds, so 1,800. Then we have interest on securities of public company limited, that itself is the gross and net, there is no deduction. Then interest on securities of UK government bonds, we need to take, yes, 4,000. Then there is no, this is interest, yes, that's done. Then we have interest on UP government bonds, that is on the net amount. Net amount is 6,000. So I record 6,000. Then interest on NSE 8th issue doesn't come under securities. Interest on FD at SBI 18,000 doesn't come under securities. Interest on deposits with notified National Deposit Scheme So this also doesn't come under securities. Then we have tax-free debentures. Net amount is 3,600 rupees. 3,600. Then dividend is exempt. Then subletting, income from delivering a lecture. Dairy farming, income from test matches. Yes. So that's all. So this much is the amount now. I'll just total the net amount. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 18, 19, 20, 24, 25, 26, 27. 27, 28 lakh 400, 28 lakh 600, 28 lakh 725, 28 lakh 725. So let's just total once again. 9, 10, 11, 17, 23, 26, 27, 27, 27, 28, 600, 725. Okay. So we take 900 we have taken, 1125 we have taken, that is interest on securities. Then 1800 national rural bonds, yes, that is also securities. Then we have interest on securities of a public company, so this is considered. Then you have interest on securities of UK government bonds, which is 4000. Then we have interest on UP government securities, which is net amount is 6000 rupees. Then we have taken interest on tax-free debentures 3,600 rupees. Okay. So total is 28,725. So we can record over here 2% of 28,725. So I'll just record 2% of 28,725. 28,725. So 2% would be 287.25 plus 287.25. I'll just add up here. 287.25. So this would be 50. This would be 14, 16, 17, 574. 0.50. I will take 575. 575. That's the only deduction that is available. So I'll just erase this. This is calculation of 2% on 28,725. That works out to 575 is the interest on, that is bank commission. 2% on bank collecting interest on all the securities is given. No other deduction, so we can do it. 12 minus 5 is 7, 8 minus 7 is 1, 6 minus 5 is 1. So 3,67,117. This would be therefore taxable income from other sources. Taxable income from other sources. So this is about the problem of Mr. Vinod. So let's go through the problem quickly. Interest on tax-free bonds is given. Since interest is given, grossing up becomes compulsory. Then interest on less tax debentures of Jute Company Limited is given, and it's given that it is sold on 1st of November. So interest is received only in September for half the year. Investment amount is 15, interest rate is 15%, for half the year is 1125. Interest on national rural bonds is investment amount is given, rate of interest is given, and this is also sold on 1st of December. So interest is received in September for half the year, 1800. Interest on national 10-year national plan certificate is exempt under section 10 subsection 15. Interest on post of saving bank account is given 600. In an individual account it is exempt up to 3,500. So entire 600 is deductible, nothing is taxable. Then interest on securities of a public limited company 3,200 is given. Now very important point, this is an account paycheck, and since the interest amount is less than 5,000, no TDS is available. Then interest on securities of UK government bonds is given. Investment amount 20,000, interest is 20%. So that would work out to 4,000. Then casual incomes are given. Lottery prize, card game and betting, horse race is given. All are given as gross amount. So we don't have to gross it separately. So total we add, we get 58,000. Then interest on UP government bonds is given 6,000. Interest amount is given. So grossing up becomes compulsory. So it would work out to 6,667. Then interest on NSE 8th issue is taxable 3,000. FD at SBI 18,000 is fully taxable. Deposits of notified national deposit scheme 5,000 is taxable. Interest on tax-free debentures of Agra Limited 4,000. It is given 3,600 net amount. So gross it, you get 4,000. dividend received from an Indian company is totally exempt from tax. Then income from subletting of house property, it's given 50% of the rent sublet paid to the owner, and the rent is 1000 rupees which Mr. Vinod is paying. 50% of that is 500, and for full year it would be 6000. Then half of the municipal tax he is paying, and for the municipal tax for the entire building is 3000, so half of that paid is 1500 rupees. Then he has also incurred expenses on collection of rent up to 400. So 7900 is deductible from 18, so taxable income is 10,100. Then he has delivered 10 lectures, and each lecture earns an income of 2500, so 25,000 is taxable. Then there is income from dairy farming, 65,000 given. Related expenses are to be deducted 12, so you get 53,000. Then Mr. Vinod is a cricketer. He plays test matches in India, one-day matches in India, test matches outside India, one-day matches outside India. As far as test matches in India is concerned, he gets an exemption up to 75%, and he has played 3 test matches, each giving him a remuneration of 20. So this total is 60,000. Exempt portion is 75% of 60, which is 45,000. So only 15% is taxable. Then income from test matches outside India is given, and he plays 2 matches. Each match gives him a remuneration of 25,000. So 25,000 into 2 is 50,000 rupees, and he has an exemption for any matches played outside India, whether test, one day or T20 international. He can claim a deduction of 50%. So 50% of 50,000 is 25. The other 25,000 is taxable. Income from one-day matches in India. He is playing 3 one-day matches in India, and 50,000 is the remuneration per match. So you get 1,50,000. Other than test matches, any other cricket matches played international is totally exempt. So exemption at 100% we get, an entire 1,50,000 is deductible, nothing is taxable. Then income from one-day matches outside India is given. 1,50,000 is given as the number. So we assume 1,50,000 is the fee or remuneration for playing both the matches as given. Since its per match is not given, so exemption amount is half of that, same 50% here for test matches outside India. So 75,000 is exempt, 75,000 will be taxable. Then there is a mention of 50,000 cash found in the previous in his locker, source of which could not be explained by him. So this is unexplained money that we have, and unexplained money is fully taxable under the head other sources. Then on 1/11/2019, he took a loan of 30,000 to purchase debentures of this jute company limited, but instead of investing, he has bought a motor car for his personal use. So no deduction under 57 because he has not invested that. Then he spent 3,000 for purchase of lottery tickets, card games and bettings. So any expenses in relation to casual incomes are not deductible. Then he paid 2% of net interest as bank commission for collecting interest on all the securities. On all the securities, net interest. So 9,000 plus we have 1,125 plus we have 1,800 plus we have 3,200, 4,000, 6,000 and 3,600. There is no interest on securities there. When you add it together, you get 28,725. This is the net interest. On that 2% commission is given, bank commission. So if we calculate, you get 575. So only one deduction under section 57. So 3,67,692 minus 5,75,000 would give you 3,67,117. 117, and that will be taxable income from other sources. So I hope this problem, comprehensive problem income from other sources, is very, very clear. Now since this is the last session, I have to take this opportunity to thank 2 very important people who have really contributed in whatever works that I have done, be it video, be it the PPT, be it the study material, be it the multiple choice questions. I would like to thank Dr. Teres Pereira. She is an assistant professor at Dr. P. Dayanand Pai and P. Satish Pai, Government First Grade College, Car Street, Mangalore. And also I would like to thank Professor Akshata. She is a guest faculty at the same college, that is Government College at Car Street. So I would like to thank both of them for their valuable contribution in all the works that I have done, in this particular subject. So thank you.